The men came on a Thursday. I'd just gotten home from a double shift at Rosario's, my feet screaming, my uniform reeking of garlic and marinara. All I wanted was a shower and 6 hours of sleep before my 8 a.m. economics lecture. Instead, I found 2 strangers standing in my hallway. They wore suits that cost more than my rent. One blocked the stairwell. The other leaned against my apartment door like he owned the building. Ren Castellano. The leaner one smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. My keys bit into my palm. Who's asking? Someone who'd like a word. Every instinct screamed run. But the stairwell guy had 60 pounds on me, easy. And my fire escape was rusted shut, had been since I moved in. I don't have any money, I said flatly. If my father sent you. Mr. Thorne doesn't want your money, Miss Castellano. Thorne. The name slithered through my mind, triggering fragments of headlines I'd skimmed. Tech acquisitions, hostile takeovers, a profile in Forbes that called him the coldest man in venture capital. Why the hell would someone like that know my name? I've never met anyone named Thorne. You will, the man straightened, buttoning his jacket. Tonight, a car is waiting downstairs. I suggest you don't keep him waiting. He's not a patient man. And if I refuse? The stairwell guy shifted, just slightly, just enough for me to see the outline of something at his hip. Okay then. I walked. The car was black, sleek, and absolutely silent. It glided through Manhattan like a shark through dark water, past the bodegas and flickering signs of my neighborhood, past the crowded avenues of Midtown, until the buildings grew taller and the streets grew emptier. We stopped outside a tower of black glass. No name on the building, no signage, just a doorman who nodded at my escorts like he'd been expecting us. The elevator had only 3 buttons, L, P, and 1 unmarked. We went up. The doors opened into a penthouse that looked more like a museum than a home. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased the city below, glittering, sharp, indifferent. The furniture was minimal, all clean lines and sharp angles. No photographs, no warmth. And standing at the window, his back to me, was a man. Tall, lean but powerful, the kind of build that came from discipline rather than vanity. Dark hair cropped short, hands clasped behind him, perfectly still. "Leave us," he said. His voice was low, quiet, the kind of quiet that made you lean in and regret it. The suits disappeared. The elevator hummed shut. Silence. He turned. Jesus Christ. I'd expected old, weathered, the typical billionaire with a paunch and a god complex. Ezra Thorne was none of those things. He looked mid-30s, maybe, sharp cheekbones, a jaw carved from granite, dark brows over eyes the color of a frozen lake, pale gray, almost silver, and completely empty. He was beautiful the way a blade is beautiful. The kind of beautiful that cuts. Ren Castellano. He said my name like he was tasting it. 23, senior at NYU, studying economics. Works at Rosario's Italian kitchen, currently pulling double shifts to cover tuition since your financial aid was revoked. My stomach dropped. You've been watching me. I've been researching you. There's a difference. He moved toward a bar cart and poured 2 fingers of something amber. Your father and I have history. My father has history with a lot of people, mostly creditors. A ghost of a smile. Yes, Martin does have a talent for accumulating debt. Gambling, I believe. Horses, poker, anything with odds he can fail. I said nothing. He wasn't wrong. 6 months ago, your father came to me. He'd burned through every legitimate lender and most illegitimate ones. He needed $2 million. Thorne swirled his glass, watching the liquid catch the light. I gave it to him. 2 million. The number hit me like a physical blow. I knew Dad's debts were bad, but 2 million. Why would you do that? Because I knew he'd default. Thorne's pale eyes locked onto mine, and I knew when he did, he'd have nothing left to offer me. Nothing left. The pieces clicked together, slow and horrible. He offered you me. He offered me the only thing he's ever valued. Thorne set down his glass, reached into his jacket, and pulled out a folded document. 3 days ago, your father signed this, a marriage contract. In exchange for clearing his debt and keeping him alive, you become my wife. The floor tilted. That's insane. That's not legal. You can't just... I have. He held out the paper. His signature is on page 4, notarized. I snatched it from him. Scan the dense legal text, the clauses about property and dissolution, and there, at the bottom, my father's handwriting. Shaky, but unmistakable. He signed me away. Like I was a car, a house, a debt to be settled. This won't hold up in court, I whispered. It's coercion. Take it to court, then. Thorne's voice was mild, almost bored. By the time it winds through the legal system, your father will be bankrupt, homeless, and facing charges for the fraud he committed to get my money in the first place. He'll die in prison. I looked up at him, searched for anything, behind those frozen eyes. Why would you want this? You could have anyone. Something flickered across his face, just for a second, a crack in the ice. 20 years ago, your father worked for my family's company. He embezzled funds, destroyed evidence, and testified against my father in court. Thorne's jaw tightened. My father went to prison, lost everything, died 2 years later in a cell. My mother followed 6 months after. Heart attack, they said. I call it grief. His voice never rose, never wavered. Somehow, that made it worse. I was 14 years old. I had nothing. No money, no family, no name that wasn't synonymous with shame. He stepped closer. I spent the next 2 decades building an empire with one goal in mind, making Martin Castellano pay. So take it out on him, my voice cracked. Not me, I didn't do anything. No, you didn't. He stopped inches away, close enough that I could smell his cologne, something dark and woodsy and expensive. But you're what he loves most, the only thing he's ever loved more than his vices, and now. He reached out and tilted my chin up with one finger. His touch was cold. Now you're mine. I jerked away. I'm not signing anything. You don't have to. The contract is binding with his signature alone. You're simply collateral that's been collected. He smiled then, a real smile, worse than the coldness. But I'm not unreasonable, little bird. Play your role well and I'll make this comfortable. Fight me. He let the threat hang. I thought about my apartment, my job, my last semester of college. I thought about my father, weak, broken, drowning in his own failures. I thought about the way Ezra Thorne looked at me. Not with lust, not even with hatred. With ownership. How long? I heard myself ask. 1 year. After that, you're free to go. I'll even provide a generous settlement. And during that year, you live here, attend events as my wife, convince the world and more importantly your father that you belong to me. And if I refuse everything, walk out right now. Thorne tilted his head, considering me like I was a puzzle. Then I'll bury your father tonight and still find a way to collect what I'm owed. The only difference is I won't be kind about it. I believed him. That was the worst part. I believed him. I squared my shoulders, lifted my chin. I'll stay, 1 year, but I have conditions. His eyebrow arched. You're negotiating. You want convincing? Then I need to finish my degree. I need access to my own money. Whatever I earn, I keep. And you don't touch me, not once. This is a transaction, nothing more. For a long moment, he just studied me, those pale eyes moving over my face like he was memorizing it. Then he laughed, low, soft, utterly without humor. You've got spine, little bird. Your father certainly didn't pass that down. He extended his hand. Deal, your conditions are acceptable, for now. I stared at his hand like it was a snake. 1 year, just 1 year. I took it. His grip was firm, warm despite the coldness in his eyes. Welcome to your new life, Ren Thorne. Thorne. My new name sat on my tongue like poison. Don't call me that. He smiled, slow, dangerous, knowing. We'll see.